We ended up deciding to like spice up our sex life and everything, and we ended up having a female-female threesome with him. So he got to pick another woman, and it was what it was. We did it. It was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male, and you.
Your age at that time you could marry him was that you had to be pregnant.
I was 15 years old.
The first day you had sex with Mr. Jennings. Day 2, Mr. Hardy. Next day and the next day, day 3 and 4 with Mr. Bryant. So there is another man who could very possibly be.
Taylor wants nothing more than to find out who her real father is. Surprisingly, this is not her first time in Judge Lauren's courtroom. But here is the thing. Back in the day, her mother used to mess with 2 guys, and for some reason, does not know who Taylor's father is. Now, she is here with her mom and another man to find out the identity of her father.
Mr. Hardy, you are here to prove what you have always known, that you fathered the defendant's 26-year-old daughter, Taylor. You say your belief was proven to be true after Taylor learned. Mr. Hardy, you say Ms. Lynn is a master manipulator who has stopped you.
Oh, wow. It seems like this case is going to be filled with a lot of surprises. Ms. Lynn, who happens to be Taylor's mother, tells the court that there is a chance that Mr. Hardy and some other guy might be the father to her daughter. At this point, how many men did she sleep with?
So you've always known you were Taylor's biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
Brandy and I was together at the time that Taylor was conceived. I was there as much as we could possibly be together, every chance we got to be together. Also, she has same color eyes, same color hair.
Man, you can see it in his eyes. He wants Taylor to be his daughter so bad. He even tells Judge Lauren that she looks like his son because they have the same eyes and the same hair color. Oh well. One thing is for sure, the truth always comes out in this courtroom.
The second time she told me she was pregnant, I doubted it because she had already said she was pregnant before.
So you were told she was pregnant before?
Yes, but she wasn't pregnant that time. So I had my doubts the second time she told me she was pregnant. I didn't believe it until I seen for myself pregnant.
Since you've always known this was your child, were you accompanying her?
I wonder why her parents did not want him to get her daughter. I mean, if he is the father of the child, it's expected that he should be able to see his daughter. Something doesn't feel right about that story. What's even shocking is that fact that Ms. Lynn faked a pregnancy in the past.
All this time, you're being raised by Mr. Jennings.
Yes.
And this is the man you believe is your biological father your whole life.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you meet Mr. Hardy, it really means nothing to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So how did you find out that he might be your biological father?
It was Thanksgiving.
So her mother did not even tell her that there was a chance that another man could be her biological father. Wow. So much for being a good mother, Ms. Lynn. In her defense, Ms. Lynn claimed that she did it because she was trying to protect her daughter, and she felt her daughter was not ready to know the truth.
You respond, what? Why didn't you tell me? So Taylor, when you sent this message and you got that response, tell me in that moment what you felt like.
Well, I felt like I could finally have closure with this search that, you know, I've been wanting to find since I was like...
Wow. What are the odds of that actually happening? Apparently, Taylor had some doubt that her real father was out in the world, and she wanted to find who he was. She hopped on her mom's Facebook and texted Mr. Hardy, but Mr. Hardy claims he was surprised because he thought Taylor always knew he was her father.
Miss Lynn, when you hear your daughter speak so beautifully about a day spent with Mr. Hardy, that just having that moment just meant the world to her, how does that make you feel? Because it is your assertion that there's a very real possibility that he is not her biological father.
It doesn't work that way, Ms. Lynn. Yes, she's your daughter, and we all know you love her, but she still needs to know who her actual father is. Taylor claims to have had a nice outing with Mr. Hardy on one of her birthdays, but Ms. Lynn doesn't seem to like that it happened.
I was 15 years old.
And you admitted that the first day you had sex with Mr. Jennings. Day 2, Mr. Hardy. Next day and the next day, day 3 and 4 with Mr. Bryant. Because your doctor had given you a 4-day window of conception.
Yep.
So there is another man.
Well, that definitely changes everything. Taylor believes that Mr. Hardy is her biological father, but here's where everything goes crazy. Ms. Lynn says that there was a man she enacted to marry, and the only way to do that was to get pregnant. To make things worse, she slept with another man trying to make this happen.
And we've been told that you are a potential biological father. Do you believe you are her biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
You do? Wow. Tell the court why.
Because she's got so much resemblance of my daughter. I've been believing it for 26 years. It's time to get it over with, you know?
So for 26 years, you've had this thought in your heart.
It looks like the problem here is Ms. Lynn. Mr. Bryant, who also happens to be one of the possible fathers, walks into the courtroom and tells everyone that Ms. Lynn told him he could be the father of the child when he found out she was pregnant.
What you experienced with Taylor and believing that you were basically locked out of her life.
Yeah, I pretty much bought my rights to the state.
When you hear this, Taylor, how does it make you feel?
I mean, sad, because I mean, either one is and one's not. I don't want to hurt anyone.
Like Judge Lauren said, it's really not her fault, so she should feel bad at all. If anyone is to be blamed, it's definitely her mom. Oh well, the only way out now is for the results to be read out, and here they come.
It has been determined by this court. Taylor's biological father is Mr. Bryant.
Yes! Yes, I told you! Can I get it?
If you're looking for drama, this particular case has all the drama you will ever need. Mr. Pinner tells the court that he moved out of the bedroom of his home to the couch because he claims his girlfriend is not being truthful about the paternity of their daughter. Ms. Martin, on the other hand, admits to making one of the biggest mistakes of her life and hopes to make amends.
Ms. Martin, you admit to making a huge mistake around the time your daughter, Royal Blue.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that one moment of weakness will cost you your fiancé if you cannot prove today that he fathered your child. Is that correct?
Oh wow. Everything hangs on the balance for both Mr. Martin and his fiancée, Ms. Martin. Mr. Pinner tells the court that he is one leg in and one leg out of the relationship. If the results turn out that he is not the father of the child, Ms. Pinner can kiss their engagement goodbye.
Yes, Your Honor, it's more about the lies. She says that she let me know right away, but it was a month later after she found out that she was pregnant. No, that's true. You know, when you feel like that is no trust, why would I fake it and just, you know, be laying in the bed with somebody that's already lied to me, then I'd be dishonest to the relationship.
But you were laying in there before.
You were dishonest with me in the beginning.
Well, now we know why he isn't sleeping on the same bed with Ms. Martin. He claims that she has not been honest with him since the very beginning of their relationship. They don't seem to trust each other at all. I very much doubt they would be able to stay together even if Mr. Pinner ends up being the father.
Partying, not coming home. I completely moved to Wisconsin with him. I even said, if I come up here for you, I'm about you, we're gonna do our family thing. And when I got up there, it went totally left. He left me in the home by myself. It'd be days at a time before I even saw Romeo. Okay, fine, you don't wanna come home? You don't wanna be a part of it? I'm gonna do my own thing, so.
Aha, that explains why they can't trust each other. Ms. Martin confesses that she slept with another man one of those many nights when she was out partying. She claims to have told Mr. Pinner the following day after she slept with the guy, but he says that's all a lie.
So it's your testimony, Mr. Pinner, that she didn't tell you the day after the party. She told you 1 month after she was already pregnant.
Exactly, Your Honor.
Lying.
How did she tell you? What did she say?
She said, well, I have something to tell you. She said, you know, when I had that party.
What? She went to a party, got drunk, and messed around with a guy she did not even know? I agree with Mr. Pinner. That is all shades of irresponsible, given the fact that she has a kid. In her defense, she claims that Mr. Pinner was never around to make her feel loved.
Later, and that's not the case. You are lying.
The point of the fact is she tells me that I'm not sure did I have sex with you before or after.
What are you talking about?
I had sex with that guy.
No, sir, we had sex 2 days after the fact that I told you that.
No, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
At this point, who do we believe? They just seem to be yapping about who is lying and who is telling the truth. But one thing is for sure, though. Mr. Pinner is not going to believe a word that comes out of Ms. Martin's mouth until the results from the DNA test are out.
It started this, or you all were already unraveling?
We was already unraveling.
So then the paternity secret comes in, and then that just destroys the rest of what was there.
That takes the rest of it down, because when I moved to Wisconsin with him, prior to me even moving, Romeo wasn't this way. He hasn't always been like...
That honestly explains a lot. Ms. Martin tells the judge that they started drifting apart long before the issue of paternity of their little girl came up. She says that Mr. Pinner would leave her several times, and she just assumed he was messing around with another woman.
She moves to a different state, following behind you. When she gets there, you still out and about doing things. Then she get mad and get upset and decides, you know what, now I'm gonna try to go tit for tat. He out partying, he out hanging out, he don't wanna come home, I'll start partying. We hear this too much.
Could she be right? I mean, Judge Lauren could not have said it better. Since Mr. Pinner and Ms. Martin walked into the courtroom, all they did was yell at each other and accuse one another of lying about their story. Well, Judge Lauren had heard enough and decided to give them some scolding.
Now, are you participating? Are you going to the doctor's appointment?
Yes,
I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because at that point, you realize she could potentially be mine.
Yes, ma'am.
He participated for about 3 or 4 months.
That's not true, Your Honor.
And that was it.
That's not true, Your Honor.
He went to doctor's appointments with me, Your Honor.
Yes, I did.
Until I decided one morning I woke.
Here we go with the yelling and yapping about again. Ms. Martin claims that Mr. Pinner acted like a father for only 4 months of the pregnancy. After that, he left her, and she had to do every single thing herself. If you ask me, I don't think they love each other anymore.
I treat her
I'm
the
glad.
same way as I do my oldest child. I just want to know, you know, so I can move forward.
But just don't play me in it, though. Don't act like I didn't tell you nothing.
I want to be a family.
Don't do me like that.
I want to be a family. I want to be around my
You want to be a
children.
family, but you're not trying. I'm steadily got my hand out, reaching and trying and flapping
But
it
you
down.
lied to me.
I did.
And
whatever.
you made me feel stupid.
Keep playing it.
I'm sure you agree with me when I say these two clearly do not love each other anymore. Oh well, the only way forward is to get those DNA results. Let's see if they can actually find a way to be a family again.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Pinner, you are the father.
Boy,
I'm sorry.
finally over.
I'm so sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry.
This has been so hard.
I'm sorry.
This has been so.
Now, Ms. Tillis appeared in court to find a way out of her financial distress. She claimed that she and Mr. Malik had a friends with benefit kind of relationship, and the end result was her son. She also claims that she's been the one taking care of the child, and Mr. Jalek still is not ready to help out with the needs of the child. Here's how the case begins.
Ms. Tillis, you claim the defendant got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 2-month-old son, Jaden's, leaving you in financial distress. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. The day my son was born, he has done nothing for my child.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
Ms. Tillis wastes 0 to no time in shedding tears when Judge Lauren asks her how the situation has been given the fact that she's the only one taking care of the baby. I wonder how they found themselves in this situation in the first place.
Did you turn your back on the baby?
No, Your Honor. Basically, we had a conversation, and like I told her, I refused to take up the next man's slack for a child that's not mine. We wasn't even having relations when she got pregnant.
So, what was the nature of your relationship?
Aha. That clearly explains a lot. Mr. Jalek tells Judge Lauren that they were never really in a relationship. For him, it was more about the sex than actually caring for her. Well, I guess we know why he doesn't want to take responsibility for the child.
When I moved to Oklahoma City from my home state, I was going to college for my associates in business where I met Miss Tillis.
So you met in college?
Yes.
Okay.
And at that time, I had long hair, so she was at school for nursing at the time, but she's a cosmetologist also. So she started braiding my hair.
I can't believe Mr. Jalek just said that. It was wrong, but hilarious. Ms. Tillis claims that she thought they were in some kind of serious relationship, and that's why she moved into his house. Sadly, Mr. Jalek was not riding the same boat.
Bro, I've never heard of this.
Me either.
In-house braider.
Brand new.
With benefits. Something to me is not adding up. So you move in. Do you think this is your boyfriend when you move in?
He made me feel like I was his woman.
And tell me, what evidence do you have to support that? What did he do?
Yo! 2 years is a really long time. I mean, if they did not have some type of intimate relationship aside from them sleeping together, why did he keep her in his home for 2 years? Something about this story just doesn't make sense.
Where'd the jealousy come in? So you're saying, Miss Tillis, he was jealous?
Yeah, I would
what?
talk to my friend on the phone.
What friend?
My friend from years before him.
Why were you on the phone with him, living in his house, and that's your boyfriend?
Thank you. Why am I looking at your phone and you got nude pictures going to your ex?
Oh, come on. Who does that? Ms. Tillis just admitted that she sent nude pictures to her ex while she was living with Mr. Jalek. Man, I knew there was something fishy about this case, and some things just do not add up. It seems like Ms. Tillis wasn't being totally truthful after all.
You believe she was also having sex with someone else during the window of time that Jaden's was conceived?
It's very possible, Your Honor, because I said we've been doing this off and on since 2011. I'm gonna be real, I did mess with my ex, a couple of months ago when me and you got into it after I got my car.
So she did admit to sleeping with her ex. I don't think you need me to tell you that Ms. Tillis seems like the bad guy here. With all these truth bombs popping out of the blues, there's a high chance that Mr. Jalek might actually not be her son's dad.
During that time?
Yes, this is the time where we were working together. We were on and off.
So you and your ex rekindled your relationship or friendship, whatever it was?
It was a friendship. We weren't never.
But you started having sex with him as well?
Yes, but it was just one time. And we used protection.
Well, Ms. Tillis admits to sleeping with her ex, but at the same time, she also tells Judge Lauren that she only slept with her ex once and the sex was protected. That's why she's 100% sure that the baby does not belong to anyone aside from Mr. Jalek.
This is the conception date that the sonogram lady gave me. Me and Mr. Jalek messed around in October.
More like early September.
No,
this around the time she got
it
her
was
car.
in the middle. It was in the middle of October.
Work with
the
home
end of
health.
October, I messed with the other man without protection.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Jalek?
The end of October,
No.
it was the other man.
No, ma'am. I'm gonna tell
So you did mess with the other guy at the end of October?
Yes.
So why, when I asked you, did you think he was a possibility, you said no?
I am not buying this story. Ms. Tillis walks up with some evidence and tries to explain to the judge the window of conception. Apparently, she slept with her ex and Mr. Jalek around the same time her baby was conceived. When the judge asks her why she's certain her ex can't be the father, she goes almost speechless.
My father, myself, and my 3 sons all have what the old folk call a wisdom hole in our right ear at the top. We're born with it. It's a handsome child that she has, but he doesn't have the trait that me, my father, nor my sons have.
It's a pre-auricular sinus.
Yes, ma'am.
Pre-auricular sinuses are inherited. And also, one study says the incidence of pre-auricular sinuses in the United States is estimated to be 0 to 0.9%.
Ha ha ha. At this point, we can call this the battle of the evidence. Mr. Jalek presents his own evidence to the judge, explaining that his dad and his 3 sons all have a particular identical feature, and her son does not have the same feature, making him doubt he is the father.
Is that how you did the baby, Mr. Jalek?
It wasn't that physical, but I mean, I gave him a good look over.
Were you looking for this wisdom hole, or were you just looking for traits that you feel resembled yourself?
Tracing myself, tracing my sons. If that's my child, he need to, resemble his siblings because they resemble each other. So.
But they don't have the same mother, and our DNA is not the same.
What? Did he just say his other sons all have 3 different mothers? Oh, wow. Even Judge Lauren could not keep her jaws from dropping when she heard that. Mr. Jalek is one busy man, that's for sure. Having 3 baby mamas is crazy for real.
It will display in most cases as the wisdom hole. But you have 2 copies of that gene. So, one from your mom, one from your dad. It sounds like your dad's side of the family is the one that had the wisdom hole, but your mom's side did not, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You've got a 50-50 shot with an autosomal dominant disease.
I don't know about you, but I've just been schooled on what a wisdom hole is. With the explanation she just gave, there's actually a chance that he could still be that father of the baby. Like the judge said, it's a 50-50 chance.
Mr. Jalek, and this clarification, do you feel any differently about the possibility that Jadance is your biological child? Do you believe he could be?
No, Your Honor, I don't feel any differently about this handsome child because at the end of the day, the child's mother is still a little friendly out there, so.
So you believe, without a shadow of a doubt, this child is not yours?
Mr. Jalek is not convinced at all. Even after the expert's analogy and explanation, he still says he knows he is not the father. Well, let the DNA results come to our rescue. It's finally time to hear the truth.
Mr. Jalek, you are the father.
I know it was somebody's nose. Now that I look at it, I can kind of see the.
As far as love triangles go, this has to be the shocking situation. Ms. Harris appears in court because she finds herself in the middle of a huge mess. There are 2 men who believe they are the fathers of her child, and she has no idea who the actual father is. Her hope is to find the answer to that in the courtroom. Well, here's how it all begins.
Ms. Harris, you have been caught in a love triangle. There are 2 men in court today claiming to have fathered your 18-month-old daughter, Anaya, your current boyfriend, the plaintiff, Mr. Murray, and the defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Donaldson.
Awoo. That's no small lobe triangle right there. Apparently, the 2 men happen to be her boyfriend and her ex-boyfriend. This is about to be one hell of a case, trust me. But first, let's find out how things got to this level.
Let's talk about these relationships. Tell me about your relationship with Mr. Donaldson.
From my understanding, we was dating, but Then when I got pregnant, he told me he had feelings for another girl, and he told me that he didn't want to be with me. So I was basically alone during my pregnancy. He was there during the baby shower, and he came to the hospital with his mom.
Aha, that sounds like a problem. Ms. Harris tells the judge that when she initially found out she was pregnant, she told her ex-boyfriend about the child at the time, and he said he had feelings for another woman. She then goes on to say that he also did not believe her when she said she was pregnant. I wonder why that happened.
So you were already pregnant, and then you found out, he tells you, I want to be with somebody else.
Yes.
How long did this relationship last between you and Mr. Donaldson?
It was like a couple months. It wasn't that long.
Just a couple months. And so you say at some point he did accept that the baby was his?
He had to when he seen that my belly was big.
Oh, because you saying at first he didn't even believe it, so then when your stomach started growing.
No, he brought me a pregnancy test.
Mr. Donaldson is one funny dude. I mean, her stomach is already as round as a basketball. What do you need a pregnancy test for? In his defense, he claims that he felt Ms. Harris was trying to hang the baby on his neck because he told her he was in love with another woman.
I want to ask your mom, did you know about this pregnancy, ma'am?
I did not find out about it until she was about 5 months, maybe.
You never knew your son was possibly the father of this child?
When he told me about it, I accepted that he was because that's what Chastity stated, that he was the dad.
At what point, Mr. Donaldson, did you say, Mom, I have something I have to tell you?
I didn't even tell her, honestly. I told my father, and my father told her.
Isn't that just hilarious to listen to? Apparently, Mr. Donaldson is scared of his mom. When he found out about the pregnancy, he ran straight to his dad and told him that he had a child. Sadly for him, his dad told his mom anyway.
We tried to make something happen, tried to make it work. It just didn't.
And so how many times have you seen Anaya? She's 18 months. How many times have you been to see her?
I've seen her quite a few times.
You've seen her a lot of times now. And your family has accepted the baby?
Yes, we accept her. But when all of this started, we kind of just backed away from the whole situation because it was getting a little messy.
So at what point do you start having doubts that Anaya is your grandchild?
Well, that's definitely not going to have a happy ending. Apparently, Mr. Donaldson and his family accepted the baby and built a relationship with the child. But all that changed when Mr. Donaldson's grandson went to pick up the baby and saw the other potential father right next to the baby.
Oh, Mr. Murray, why do you believe you could be the biological father of this child?
One day I was on Facebook and I got a message from Jalen, and he told me that the baby could possibly be mine.
So you get a message from Mr. Donaldson telling you that the baby could possibly be yours?
Yeah, I need to get a DNA test.
You sent him that message, Mr. Donaldson?
I don't recall. I'm not gonna say yes, I'm not gonna say no. I don't recall.
Okay, I am very confused right now. Mr. Donaldson initially claimed that he and his family accepted the baby. When the judge turns to Mr. Murray and asks him why he thinks he is the father, he says that Mr. Donaldson sent him a message on Facebook saying he could be that father. Something doesn't add up.
With Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
Okay, let me try to understand all this. Mr. Murray, what do you remember? She was in a relationship with Mr. Donaldson at the time, but you all ended up having a sexual encounter during that time, but you say you used protection. You say you did not. Okay, that's how we get a paternity issue. So, Ms. Harris, why are you so convinced that Mr. Donaldson is the father if you admittedly had sex with Mr. Murray during the time you were also having a relationship with Mr. Donaldson?
Because during that time, he used protection.
This has got to be the most confusing case ever for real. Ms. Harris tells the judge that she believes Mr. Donaldson is the father of her child because she used protection for a while with Mr. Murray before they eventually stopped using it. Mr. Murray believes otherwise.
This time, but you say you used protection. But Mr. Murray, you say you did not use protection.
We had a situation December 14th.
What's a situation?
A threesome.
Oh, I didn't expect you to say that. Okay, so, wait, that's December. And you didn't use protection during that? I don't know what y'all out here doing. We know young people, and we know you're gonna be young, but this is a lot, this is too much.
Please let them know. I am siding with the judge on that one. How do you have a threesome without the use of protection? That honestly explains why she is not very certain of who the father of her child is. Now, That's just crazy for real.
Unprotected and also potentially getting Miss Harris pregnant. Did you have any idea what was going on?
I found out after the threesome happened.
After the threesome?
Yes. And then like around, I want to say March or April, we found out that Chastity was pregnant.
Do you immediately say to your son, are you the father of this baby?
Yes, I did. And he told me no because Chastity told him no. And then I went to Chastity and I asked her.
You did?
Yes.
At least we know that both Mr. Murray and Mr. Donaldson are scared of their moms. Mr. Murray's mom tells the judge that when she found out Ms. Harris was pregnant, she reached out to her, and Ms. Harris told her that her son was not the father of the baby.
18 months old. Who's in her life as father? Who does she bond with as father? Mr. Murray.
She looks to him like he's her father because he's been there. He'd been there ever since she was 3 months.
And so what was it that made you decide to be a part of the baby's life, Mr. Murray?
At that point in time, she was in like a down position, so I just took her in. Like, I take care of both of y'all.
Mr. Murray might be a freaky guy, but he sure is a good man. He claims that Ms. Harris was in a really bad situation, so he decided to take care of her and step up as the father of the baby. I wonder why Ms. Harris feels Mr. Donaldson is the father of the baby.
You believe Anaya looks like your grandchild, like your son's baby.
Right.
And that's a picture of Mr. Murray on the left and Anaya on the right. Why are you smiling like that, Mr. Donaldson?
Because that's a real, they do look alike. Like that, you can't even lie. They look alike.
But also submitted to the court was a baby picture of Mr. Donaldson.
It's hard to tell.
Right, it's definitely hard to tell.
So now as you look at that picture, Ms. Weaver, you even say it's hard to tell just with physical characteristics.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, isn't that the sweetest thing ever? Mr. Donaldson's mother tells the judge that she knows deep down in her heart that the baby is her granddaughter. Seems like we are at a crossroads here because the baby looks like Mr. Donaldson and Mr. Murray. Well, let the DNA results reveal the truth.
Mr. Gerald Donaldson, you are not the father. Mr. Murray, you are not the father.
That's okay. That's still your baby.
I can't sit here no more.
Miss Harris.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I got her.
It's
I
okay.
got her.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Do you know that feeling when your best friend goes running to your boyfriend to tell them all about your different escapades with other men? Well, Ms. Stremke knows that feeling very well. Her friend told her partner, Mr. Jaramillo, about her different attempts with other men, and now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this.
Mr. Jaramillo, you claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Ms. Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Stremke, why is your family falling apart?
Your Honor, I feel like my family is falling apart because my daughters are basically growing up how I had to. We didn't have both parents, and even when we did have both parents present at different times, we were denied.
That's right, Mrs. Stremke. Children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
Doesn't feel that those are his kids.
You know, when you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up where I had slept with another man. And this is before me and Mr. Jaramillo had gotten together. But it was very, very shortly after that we got together. And it was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Ms. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you know. You'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke has been impregnated with wasn't mine, that she had been sleeping with numerous males.
How long had you been together at that point?
We had been together for 2.5, 3 weeks.
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
That was about the time that the other males were present.
I was upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had gotten together.
You said one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
Naviana is 4 years old. Did you ever attempt to have a paternity test back then?
No, Your Honor, because every time I brought it up, it was always, oh, I know she's mine.
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
It's like, okay, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore. And that's when we ended up deciding to like spice up our sex life and everything. And we ended up having a female-female threesome with him. So he got to pick another woman. And it was what it was. We did it. And then it was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male, and you. So I said, okay.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Ms. Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot. So to get it done and over with, yeah, I did bring this friend of mine.
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie. Get on a jet and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. Yeah.